Hello, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. I would like you to put something in the comments. What do you think is keeping you stuck? Are you in a place in your life where you feel like you've hit a ceiling, you're not progressing, you're just stuck somewhere, whether it's relationally, work-wise, spiritually, or you just have a feeling that you can't place? What do you think is keeping you stuck there? Because that's what this video is all about. We're gonna get right into that. My name is Jin Rehema, and I am a mental health and life coach. You can send in your questions on topics you want to hear about or addressed at info@jinrehema.com. So, a lot of times we get stuck because of perfectionism. You've wanted to start something for so long, but it's just not perfect. You know, you keep iterating it and changing it and changing it. You like it today, then the next day you're like, I don't like it anymore. So you keep changing and changing it, and what happens is now you're delaying. You end up delaying the thing because you don't want to mess up, or you want it to be perfect. You don't want anything to be wrong with it, whether it's getting content out or uploading something or reaching out to someone. You're just kind of delaying the process without knowing that you're delaying the process, as your goal is perfection. You might not subconsciously know that, but you have a perfection goal. You probably have a performance-based identity. You don't want to make any mistakes ever. So you're just in this place where you're stuck because you don't want to release something out. And that, for a lot of people, keeps them from reaching their full potential, because you never start something because it's not good enough. I want it to be great. I want it to be perfect. That's not a bad desire. It's not a bad desire to want to be great at something. It's not a bad desire to want to succeed. But the desire, it only starts working against you when you try over and over again, and it starts preventing you from doing something. Just start. Put something out there. It's gonna help someone the way it is. It's never going to be perfect. Even I sometimes record something and I throw it out. I'm like, no. Then I start over. I'm like, no. And then I find I'm delaying something that would have helped someone for weeks because I don't like it. Oh, I blinked funny, or I looked away. I wasn't having enough eye contact. It's always something. So I totally relate to that. But that can actually keep you in a cycle where you never progress. And I was reading about Saul. And Saul, for those who might not know, Saul in the Old Testament is the first king of Israel that God had anointed. And the Israelites asked for a king, and God was like, okay, tell them what will happen when they get a king, because God was their leader, and there were judges. If you've followed that story, there were judges who would go under God's leadership and lead the people of Israel. But then the Israelites asked for a king because they wanted a king like everybody else. And God was like, you guys, if you get a king, they're going to be corrupt. This is what will happen. Taxes, God showed them the way. They were like, no, we want a king. And God was like, okay, I will anoint somebody. You already know how this goes. I'll anoint someone and bring them. So God anointed Saul. And we are kind of shown the story of how Saul came to be king. And we see that after some time passed, God came and actually told Samuel that he regrets having picked Saul. So let me just pull up that scripture. It's in first, I think. Oh yeah, I found it. It's in 1 Samuel 5:11. And God says, I regret that I made Saul king, because he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions. And then Samuel was angry and he cried out to the Lord all that night. That's NIV version. You can just pull it up and check whichever version you like reading. But the thing that really stood out to me here is he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions. And as I was reading this, I was really easy to be like, wow, Saul. But then I realized it's really easy for us to be called to do something, for God to put something on our hearts to do, and for us to turn away from that and not carry out God's instructions. That can look like many things. It can look like you're in a room and you feel convicted to say something, but you kind of fear, so you don't say it, or you say it in a different way to kind of sugarcoat and not hurt anyone's feelings. It can look like procrastinating because it's not perfect. To us, the human weakness, it's a human weakness that we have sometimes, and God definitely has factored those things in. God knows exactly what he's getting when he chose you. God already knew it would take you 6 months to jump the hurdle of self-doubt, and there was work that needed to be put in, and that's completely okay. But once you're ready, once it's action time, and you start procrastinating, you start changing the thing, you start doing things the wrong way. Now that's for what might look like to you like a small thing, like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. God is like, you're not carrying out my instructions. Because now if we look at what Saul did, a lot of the mistakes Saul made was because he had a fear of man. Saul, like one of the things he did was, there was a battle and only the priest, or now in this case only Samuel, could offer sacrifices. But now people started getting restless because Samuel was late, and they feared, and then they started leaving one by one. And the word says that Saul saw that the numbers were, people were starting to like kind of abandon him and leave him, and he panicked and he decided to offer the sacrifice himself. But only Samuel could offer it. And just when he finished, Samuel comes and asks him, what are you doing? Like, you guy, what are you doing? Because he had sinned. And if you look at, for him, it was like, you delayed, you were late, so all those things. And he decided to take matters to his own hands. But he only did that because he started looking at, oh, who's behind me, who is for me. People are starting to walk away, people are starting to leave. I need to fix this. So he dishonored God so that he would have people on his side. He felt, and that is one of the things now God says, he has turned away from me. He started caring more about what the people thought above what God thought. And if you continue reading the Bible, I really advise you to check out that story. It's really interesting. In First Samuel, you can find it there. As you continue to read, the kingdom was taken away from him, and God anointed David. And Saul started seeing that David had found favor with God. And after David killed Goliath, people were saying, oh, Saul has killed thousands and David has killed tens of thousands. And because he saw that David was more popular than he was in the people's eyes, he started trying to kill David. He started hating David. This guy is liked more than me. People prefer him to me. And that desire in him to be liked by people more, to be honored by people, to just be everybody's favorite, that desire in Saul led him to a lot of the sins he committed, because he was not leading so that people would follow God and know how loved they are by God. He was leading to be liked, leading to be popular. He was after his own name, his ego. He just wanted everybody to love him and to be there for him. And in that, he was dishonoring God. And we see this with somebody else as well. So we've said the thing so that we don't get lost. I feel I'm more of like a point from human. we see the things that keep us stuck where we are. There's that one, the fear of man. So that's what we're describing. And then the second thing would be honoring the things, and a lot of the times, the things that keep us stuck is the things that we honor above God. And the thing we can honor above God is, people's opinions, what people say about us, how they view us. That, if you honor that more than you honor how God sees you and what God said, you can become stuck and you can actually hit a ceiling. Because we can see, like in case of Saul, his kingship ended up coming to an end. He did not achieve the things that God had called him to achieve because of that flaw, because he was not honoring God and not carrying out the instructions. That varies. For him, it was lead these people in a way that honors me. For you, it could be something else. And another person who we see in the Bible has this issue was Eli. Eli was a priest in the Old Testament. He was a Levite because the priesthood in Israel was for the Levites. And Eli the priest, his sons did not honor God. So, and when I say that, I mean they really did not honor God. Their story, if you'd like to check it out, is also in 1 Samuel. Today is 1 Samuel Day. The story of Eli and his sons is found in 1 Samuel 2. We're going to check verse 12. So this is also NIV. Today we are doing NIV. So this is what it says from verse 12. That's 1 Samuel 2:12. Eli's sons were scoundrels. They had no regard for the Lord. Now it was the practice of the priests that whenever any of the people offered a sacrifice, the priest's servant would come in with a 3-pronged fork in his hand while the meat was being boiled, and would plunge the fork into the pan or the kettle or cauldron or pot. Whatever the fork brought up, the priest would take for himself. This is how they treated all the Israelites who came to Shiloh. So we are being told how the sons of Eli would treat the Israelites. But even before the fat was burned, the priest's servant would come up and say to the person who was sacrificing, "Give the priest some meat to roast. He will not accept boiled meat from you, but only raw." If the person said to him, "Let the fat be burned first, and then take whatever you want," the servant would answer, "No, hand it over now. If you don't, I'll take it by force." This sin of the young men was very great in the Lord's sight. For they were treating the Lord's offering with contempt. They were not supposed to do that. And the Israelites knew, so that's why we're being told in verse 16, the person said, "Let the fat be burnt first," because it was an offering to the Lord. The priests, yes, would take some of the meat, but there are specific parts of the meat that belonged to God, and they had to burn first. But the servant would say, "No, hand it over now. If you don't, I'll take it by force," because these are the instructions that they got from the sons of Eli. So they were not supposed to take God's sacrifice as their own. That was not what they were supposed to do. And this obviously upset God. And as we continue, now we'll skip over to verse 22. And it says, "Now Eli, who was very old, heard about everything his sons were doing to all Israel, and how they slept with the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting." The tent of meeting was where the priests would go in. We see that also Moses would go in there and hear about God's will. So that was a big deal to go and, sleep with women outside of the tent of meeting where the presence of God would fall. And so he said to them, "Why do you do such things? I hear from all the people about these wicked deeds of yours. No, my sons, the report I hear spreading among the Lord's people is not good. If any one person sins against another, God may mediate for the offender. But if anyone sins against the Lord, who will intercede for them?" And it says, his sons, however, did not listen to their father's rebuke. Now, the thing here is Eli's sons were not honoring God, and they were doing the wrong thing. And we don't know why. Maybe he didn't want to take action against them. So this can replicate itself in your relationship so many times. Maybe you're dating someone and you're not, what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing, and doesn't honor God. And yeah, you got convicted and you've kind of gone and told them, like, we shouldn't do this. But you just say it and you kind of do it again. Or you can see your kids doing something that they shouldn't be doing, but you kind of don't want to ruffle the waters so much. Take action, drastic action that can perhaps break the relationship. You don't know, or we do not know why Eli feared taking action against his sons, because we're just told, oh, he told them, no, don't do that, it's wrong. And they still continued, and he did nothing after that. And we can see now in the immediately, just if you scroll down in 1 Samuel 2:29, God asked the priest, why do you scorn my sacrifice and offering that I prescribed for my dwelling? Why do you honor your sons more than me by fattening yourselves on the choice parts of every offering made by the people of Israel? So his failure to address what his sons were doing, his failure to take action on it became he was honoring his sons more than he was honoring God. The comfort of that relationship, the fear that, if I take action against this person, they'll hate me, the relationship will die, what will people think, I can't possibly do that. Whatever happened in Eli's mind, in his heart, God saw it, and God asked him, why do you honor your sons more than me? Why do you prioritize this person more than me? And that would be the question that is coming to you right now. You can see what you're doing with this person is wrong. You can see that things shouldn't be happening that way. You're leading a team and there's one person who's always slacking. What they're doing is wrong. You're uncomfortable correcting them. You've spoken to them like, oh, probably you shouldn't do that. And they still did it, and now it's awkward and you don't know what to say. But the longer you drag this out, it doesn't change the fact that what is being done is wrong. And the more you keep fearing reaching out, you don't want to ruffle the feathers, let's keep the status quo, let's just keep everything calm and find the way it is. The more you do that, you're starting to honor this person above God, because you're preferring them to God. You prefer their affection, you prefer that relationship, the friendship staying the way it is, the comfort of that relationship. You honor that more than you honor God. And if there's anybody in your life, just ask yourself this question: can I stay? Like, if this person left me, would I be absolutely devastated about to die, crying in my bed? Like, would it be, is there someone who you feel, and the relationship is unhealthy, and is there someone who you feel that if the status quo changed, if they were mad at you, like, if I say this, they leave, and I'll feel like I'm dying? Is there such a person in your life? Because that can become a potential trap for you, because you will continue staying in a cycle where you do things that you shouldn't be doing. Things are being done in the wrong way. They do not honor God. You're guilty. It's eating up at you, but I just want to keep things the way they are. That's something that definitely needs to be addressed. And also, speaking about that comfort, now that we've transitioned now from a place of comfort, so there's the fear of man. We want people to like you. And then we've moved to the comfort of relationship, keeping the status quo, not wanting to ruffle any feathers. And I know it's extremely difficult when these people are close to your heart. There are always going to be people who are close to your heart, your family. In this instance, for the priest, it was his sons. It can be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your fiance or your co-worker who you really like, or maybe it's your best friend and you just don't know what to say. The person will always be one that is really close to you. And that's why it's always going to be hardest to move forward, because there's this thing I had a while back. I can't remember who said it, but I know I've had it a couple of times. When God wants to, impact your life, God will put people in your life to impact you. They'll just be someone who will come in and lift your self-esteem, and they're good company. And it's an iron sharpens iron thing. They can tell you as it is. They encourage you. They correct you. And also, when the devil wants to ruin your life, the devil also uses people. They come in form of bad company, people who you do not want to correct. You don't want to rip off that band-aid. People who you start thinking like, you start thinking, if this person leaves me, there's no way. Like, you want to hold on to them with that death grip. If you get someone like that, you're gonna keep somebody like that. If you get somebody outside of God's will, you're gonna keep them that way. If you get someone by acting a certain way, you're going to keep them by acting that very same way. The moment you change, you're going to notice that the relationship starts changing. The moment you're like, hey, imagine we can't do that, then the person continues and you put your foot down. We can't do that. They're like, okay, the music has changed, the atmosphere is different. You'll find naturally that as your status changes, your relationships are also going to change, and it's going to feel like a furnace. Like with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they went into the furnace bound, and when they came out of that furnace, they were unbound. And the thing about fire, and there's going to be a course on this, so keep just keep your eye out for it. There's going to be a course on it. When the thing about fire is, fire has a tendency to refine that which it cannot consume and consume that which it cannot refine. There are going to be seasons in your life when you're being refined, when God is starting to nitpick, when God is starting to address, this needs to change, this needs to change. And it's like you've entered the fire. Anything that cannot be refined along with you is going to die in that fire. And that's going to include relationships, mindsets, patterns, habits, ways of thinking. So many things will die in the fire. It's just you need to answer the question, do I honor these things more than I honor God? And do I value comfort more than I value God? God is going to call you to things that are uncomfortable for you. Speaking out about things, speaking out on things, stepping into the unknown. You might be called to start a business or lead a team, leave your job. There's different things you'd be called to do, and it is uncomfortable. Pick up the phone and call someone, see how they're doing. You have to let go of the past. Leave that at the grave and leave the grave behind and walk. When God gives you beauty for ashes, you have to let go of the ashes to receive the beauty. And that is uncomfortable. Sometimes we get so comfortable in the blanket of, this person wronged me and they shouldn't have done that. And I'm like this because of that. But if you keep holding on to that, if you keep holding on to your past and the evidence of that, to some specific patterns and habits, if you hold on to those things, you're going to miss out on the thing that God has for you. I mean, if my hands have a phone and a watch and a remote and they have blankets in them, I have all these things I'm holding on to, and God is like, okay, so I need to give you this other thing, and I'm trying to stuff them underneath so I can reach out for more stuff. You can only hold so many new things when you have a death grip. So you can only hold on so many new things when you have a death grip on the old. You have to step out into the unknown, into the uncomfortable. Lead this team. Will they like me? Just lead it. Get up and do it and see what happens. Go to Egypt and lead my people. Oh my gosh, like I can't do ABCD. I can't speak. I can't get on camera and put it on YouTube. I don't want people to know who I am. Like, that's uncomfortable. It's weird talking. I can't speak to the camera. I can barely even, speak in a group setting. Me, some of the things God will call you to do will be uncomfortable. You just need to step out. And don't step out to be perfect. You show up and let God do the rest. God just needs you to obey. Obedience is better than sacrifice. That's also in First Samuel. It's like First Samuel video. Just show up and see what God does with your 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. God will always carry what He started to completion, but you have to show up for that to happen. So we've discussed the things that can keep you stuck. That is perfectionism, fear of man, and the fear of ruffling the feathers, comfort of relationship, and stepping into the unknown. You value your comfort more than you value God. So just watch out for these things that you honor above God, whether it's people's opinions, whether it's your opinions of yourself. I can't do that. I can't possibly, speak to people, reach out, do ABCD. You have to let those mindsets go for you to reach your potential. The baby agrees with me. So you guys, don't worry about that. So if there's any follow-up video you would like after this, please put in the comments. Email info@jenrehema.com. The next video is talking all about fear of man, so click on it. It's I think it's right here. Place it right there. So have an amazing day. What stood out to you most in this, put it in the comments so that also other people can catch something. Let's catch the fire from each other. Fire is contagious. Put it in the chat, in the comments, and let somebody else, maybe they missed it, or how you'll phrase it is going to stand out to them. So yeah, I look forward to interacting with you and hearing more from you. Yeah, have a great day. Remember that God loves you. Go live your life for the audience of one, and that audience of one, that's God, not anybody else. Go do that. Yeah, and there'll be new videos every Thursday. Just Thursday anytime. Just log on Thursday. Hit the subscribe button to get new videos. If you want anything addressed, your questions answered, that's what I'm here for, to be relevant to you. Email info@jenrehema.com. Have an amazing day. Remember, God loves you. Bye.